Let me ask you a question based off what we just kind of went through a couple years ago. Is how does a global health crisis anywhere in the world, but mostly here where we pay property tax, how does that affect us?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of unknowns there. Um, what we saw last time was the housing market exploded, which nobody expected. Um, Everyone that was calling us saying, "Oh my gosh, I mean, my market value is going to collapse. I need you to get me a big cut," right? And what we were seeing was just the opposite, where because everybody was sent home to work from home for a year, well, a lot of people said the interest rates are like basically nothing. I'm going to buy a bigger house with a home office. And so you had an explosion in the housing market with a bunch of people trading up. And so, it was something that nobody really expected. We expected to see an economic collapse that then triggered a housing collapse, but the exact opposite happened. Um, it's, there's really no telling. It depends on a lot of other downstream effects too.
Yeah. Or instead of upgrading their house or to a better house, they're upgrading their own house. There was a lot of construction increase, building the home office, making where you live and now work the best thing out there.
Taking stimulus dollars and throwing it into your house.
Right. Right. And so as you add that value to your house, your neighborhood starts to increase in value as well. Right. So it was interesting to watch from a non-economic standpoint. The procedural part of property taxes was very interesting to watch from our perspective. There was a lot of unknowns on the appraisal district's level of how to do the procedures, how to do the hearings. Not a whole lot of guidance from the government itself until maybe 6 months later, after everything kind of started to shut down in March. Then you started getting orders from the Attorney General on how property tax hearings should be performed, if they were allowed to be in person or if they had to be virtual. There's a lot of Wild West for a short period of time until we figured things out. But it's extremely interesting from our perspective to watch.
There were multiple counties because usually the year's appraised values are released in mid-April and everything's shut down in mid-March. So there were a bunch of counties that either delayed significantly in sending those values out or just said, we're not reappraising this year. It's just going to be last year's value on everything.
Yeah, they didn't have an idea of what was going to happen with the market, so they just said, let's roll values. Let's keep everything the same until we can figure this out.
Figure out what the world looks like.
Yep.
Another big piece of it is commercial office space collapsed and has never recovered really. Maybe it's not quite as low as it was at the low point. So, that was an interesting and seems to be a lasting effect of COVID and that realignment of work patterns where people are working more from home instead of going into the office every day.